Hello, you are listening to the Gamer Librarian Podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. I am your host, Adrian, and today we'll be talking about Gamescom 2024, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and more. Afterwards, be sure to subscribe to be notified when future episodes are released, and show your support by liking and leaving a comment. Thank you for joining. All right, so we are back. Another glorious Friday is upon us, and that means I get to deliver another episode to all of you. And over the last few days, we had so much news come out about some really cool and interesting games. Now, I didn't get to catch the live stream of the Gamescom event initially because I was busy camping and stuff, which I would just want to plug in real quick. The DC Deck Builder game is the best camping game you could bring. The card game that they put out by Cryptozoic is awesome. I got the base game and the expansions, and I just got to talk about it because that game is so fun. Having all these different cards to play with your friends and affect how the game plays, and it's really great. You have a different time every single time you play the game. There's never a same experience or always, the same kind of leads or like tilting characters, stuff like that. I love it. It's a really fun game. And that was what I was doing this weekend. And then Alien Romulus came out, which was also really cool. So check out last week's episode if you want to hear me talk more about Alien Romulus. And I've been focusing on watching Cobra Kai because season six is, it's just been releasing its first part, and it just caught up with me and Hannah onto part six itself. I'm really happy with the turnaround for some of these characters like Hawk and Kenny, them turning a new leaf in terms of, their own arcs. Because I really liked Hawk. He was a really great character early on, and then he turns to the dark side. But now that these all characters are on the same side now, it's really fun. And it seems like it's really gearing up. So we're only early on in the season six. We're really not going to spoil too much, but catch up right now. I think part two comes out August like 28th or like late August or so. So second part of season six is going to be awesome. So I'm really excited to be watching Cobra Kai. And so let's just talk about the Gamescom. I kind of got tracked there. Gamescom was surprising this year, coming out with a mix of a lot of older games that were returning, as well as games that we saw this year coming up, but as well as like new announcements to a certain degree, which I thought was, pretty cool. More on the smaller indie scale kind of stuff, but a lot of really interesting titles. So first is the really cool series by the creators of Love, Death, and Robots, which I've never watched. Anthology series have never really been my bread and butter. It's kind of like short story books. I just usually don't, vibe with those. But now that they're doing Secret Level, it's like a Amazon featured show that they're doing with a bunch of game developers or game publishers, where they got the rights to games like Armored Core, Dungeons and Dragons, Mega Man, Pac-Man. They have Splunky and Unreal Tournament and Warhammer apparently. So a lot of really diverse titles and games come out. Like Sifu, I love Sifu. Sifu's a really fun action like karate combat game, which is awesome, really great. And so it seems like this series is more of a storytelling kind of series, and I was really more hoping that it might be like more of a documentary on like how the games would have, which it still might be. It's kind of not really clear in terms of what I think it is, but it seems like it's a narrative anthology series. This show was certainly greenlit possibly because of Amazon's success with the Fallout show, which is awesome. We know that they were doing a Warhammer show as well, I believe, so this might be something that might be kind of fueling that, seeing they've got the right vibe. Judging by the trailer, it seems like it's more on the animated side. There's nothing really live action here. I think they even have God of War stuff mentioned as well, but that's pretty cool. I think this is definitely a great way to start delivering, cool stories that are from gaming themselves into the mainstream kind of way with movie media and TV media. That stuff is really awesome. HBO also has a really good success with their Last of Us show, which I like, and there seems to start also be a lot of contention with how the show's being produced now with some of the actors and stuff. I know that the characters and the voice actors for Abby in the game got a lot of hate, and this might be coming the same way, and that's awful because they had nothing to do with this. Like it's just a story. You don't have to start hating on these people for doing a job. That's awful. But looking forward to Secret Level by the creators of Love, Death, and Robots. That seems awesome. I'm probably gonna check out Love, Death, and Robots just now to see what kind of vibe I'm hoping for to get, see what they have. Because I've been hearing great things about Love, Death, and Robots. That's gonna seem really fun. And to the games that were featured and shown off, we got some news on things like Indiana Jones being now on the PS5 and not an Xbox exclusive. It seems Xbox is really still trying to keep ahead with that, putting their games first on all platforms. There was also as well a Borderlands 4 announcement teaser, and I think that maybe after, it's like so soon after the movie flopping, maybe this isn't the best time to be showing off a new Borderlands game. Borderlands 3 I thought was really fun, but it really lacked that really fun and goofy kind of adventure, like over the top nuttiness that Borderlands 2 had, and then even pre-sequel to a degree. 3 was kind of a little all over the place. I liked traversing the planets, but the planets themselves didn't really feel all that specifically unique and special for the initial playthroughs. Uh, Tiny Tina's game was really fun though. That was definitely a fun little take. But Borderlands 4, I'm not really sure, especially from that teaser. That doesn't really seem the same kind of vibe. I'm definitely still excited for Borderlands 4, but I hope that they kind of have a different take on, how the story works for this vibe. It seems like it's went all over the place from the last games. Fire Access also got to show off the Civilization 7 gameplay preview, which was awesome. I'm a big Civ fan. It's one of my favorite strategy games of all time, and I come from a background of like Age of Empires and Age of Mythology and those kind of games. And Civ is just a fun, simple strategy game that you just pick a character or a notable figure from history, and you try to see how you contend with others of the same. And it's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot of specific strategy to it, but you can make it if you want to. I like the turn-based of it, the turn-based like strateginess of it. It's not like real time, like what I just mentioned, Age of Mythology and games like Total War and some other strategy games. I think it's very different in that way that it still has that turn-based feel, and I think it being on systems like PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam, all these consoles is awesome. They put Civ 6 on those consoles as well, which is awesome. So it comes out February 11th next year. So looking forward to playing that. Now, I will say about Civ 7, it doesn't look like the graphics are really there. I mean, it is going to have to be on the Nintendo Switch as well for right now, and then modern consoles, but it doesn't really seem like it's a step ahead from 6. It just kind of feels like a little better, at least into like the overall map design. I do like the new additives, like the outside tiles, the way they're grayed out and stuff, and then they look like they're raised, like kind of stuff like that. The outside of the map when you like before you reveal it, that all seems cool. But overall, it doesn't seem like that many new changes to it. They're definitely gonna add the Civ 6 new mechanics like the weather and the what was it, the like catastrophic events like the volcanoes and then the meteorite stuff like that. I think more. I'm hoping, at least initially, because that was a really cool additive that I liked, and I hope that they add that into like the base game. So Civ 7, hoping to play that game initially on launch, but I feel like it's going to probably be delayed. It seems very soon. But we did have an like, announcement like earlier this year, I believe. So they also showed off Dying Light: The Beast. Now that seems really cool. I'm a big Dying Light fan. Dying Light 2 was amazing when it came out initially. I didn't get to play any of the DLC, but I've only seen good things. And I really like the first game as well. These two games seem that they kind of really hold true to their core experience. And Dying Light: The Beast seems like it's going to be about the same thing, especially more on like the bestial, like a zombie playing as like a infected kind of mode, kind of stuff. That seems really cool. So we don't get to see much of that in terms of gameplay. It just seemed maybe not going to show off that off yet. But apparently it's like only like 20 hours or so, at least from the initial announcement that it was only about 20 hours. So looking forward to that game. And so Sims knockoffs finally coming through. I'm glad to see it happen. Things like Inzoi is featured on the Gamescom showcase, and that seems like a really cool Sims take. Definitely a lot more. I like the realistic feel versus like Sims more goofy, cartoony art style to it. The realistic version Inzoi is putting out looks awesome. And coming from someone who just spent some money on the Sims 3 expansions on Steam while they were technically on sale, so looking forward to that because Sims 3 is definitely fun, but like it's an old game, and I'm looking forward to something new to just get that Sims feeling, something like a little more casual kind of feel. That's gonna be really fun. And Call of Duty is still holding strong. Now, the only reason I'm talking about Call of Duty is because it still has zombies, and I love Call of Duty Zombies. But Call of Duty 6 only showed off their single player campaign kind of stuff for this event, which let me tell you, it looks pretty cool. They mentioned notable characters like Bill Clinton, and it's set in like 1992. So there, I think there's a lot of like the modernity to it is definitely a little more real in terms of like I think certain audiences. Now that's set before I was born, but I'm born in like '96, so that's only you know 4 years off. I think so. This seems like a very topical, relevant kind of game as opposed to I think some of the more recent Call of Duties, not the ones that go like way back in time, but I think the ones that kind of skirt the line between what's like modern, like 2000s to 2010 kind of storylines or political issues and things like that. So this one definitely is like a nice take, especially with being what is it, Black Ops, like a Black Ops installment into the series. That seems awesome. Um, now. Persona 3, I've been playing that game for the last few weeks when I can, and I'm only about, I think, halfway through now. Persona 3 Reload specifically, and they showed off some really cool stuff for the here at Gamescom. This is specifically the expansion episode Aegis, which I think is part of the Persona 3 initial package, like on the PSP Portable or whatever it is, like whatever um, like installment they had, like extra content that you were able to buy back then. And it seems like this one's a little different. This one also adds in Joker from Persona 5 as a boss. That seems pretty cool. But it's still missing the female protagonist, which is very odd in terms of my opinion. I think they should have done the full expansion, but that the original experience of Persona 3 was. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to getting back into Persona 3, and at some point, it's just going to depend on when I beat certain games before certain other games come out. That's definitely the hardest part about what I do right now is trying to play and beat all these games that I'm trying to go and play. Now, they also showed off some Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero gameplay, more characters being shown off, which is awesome. Path of Exile 2, November 15th. I think launch. I think it's launch. I just wrote down November 15th. I believe that it's supposed to be launch, but maybe it's beta or something. But November 15th seems pretty awesome for a launch. Now, it's free to play, so I'm super excited to play that because I want to play Path of Exile 1, but it's just, I feel like I'm just too behind on the stuff. And it seems like the Path of Exile 1 and 2 experience is pretty one in one in terms of what they showed off initially. I only hear what I watched from Asmongold. That's pretty much it. So looking forward to playing that game. All I gotta say. Now, Dune Awakening, the MMO, got gameplay showcased, and we saw a lot of stuff, just character creator. We saw how combat works, how building stuff works. I'm ecstatic for this game. I think it's going to be awesome. A little disappointed that the Fremen aren't, a choosable race or faction initially at launch. I don't know if that's going to change. It comes out early 2025, so looking forward to that game. I hope that they add in a lot of new changes, specifically the Fremen, in my opinion. But I'm still looking forward to getting that Dune experience. That's going to be really fun. Now, Starfield is still doing their expansion. Shattered Space comes out in September, but you can also get a Moon Buggy, which is part of a free update. So that seems pretty awesome. I think the Moon Buggy works in even places like crowded, like cities, like the main hub and stuff like that. That's going to be really cool. Now, I'm looking forward to playing Starfield again. Initially, maybe on PC at some point, just to see what kind of mods are out there. Of course, that's like the best experience. But I like Starfield. I think the lore is pretty cool from what they established. Like there's a lot of like pre-war stuff, pre-event, pre-game stuff that's really cool that they talk about in terms of like the overall scope. But I think it's really fun. The Starfield experience that I think they deliver in terms of what Todd has always talked about is like, yeah, space is just specifically a lot of barren planets, but there is like some mystery to it. And I think that it tries to keep as much realism to the overall experience in terms of like what's really fun scientific stuff versus like where do you go from like magic and then there's like no initial alien intelligent species, which is an odd choice in my opinion, but I think it's fun. I think Starfield is definitely a decent take on a open world expansive space game. I just think it's decent. Like it's that game and then No Man's Sky. That's about it. Those two games are pretty much basically it for the most part. If you're talking like building and crafting and maybe some light socializing, Starfield is a single player game, but No Man's Sky has multiplayer stuff now. I'm sure there are other games that are very similar, but those two games seem to have tried to do their best, in light of certain past events with their like histories. There's a whole lot of stuff you can talk about those games, but I'm excited to play it. That's all. So, also a new game coming out very soon, September, I believe, is Warhammer 40K. They sold off a lot of stuff. We've been seeing as much as we can for that, and I'm trying to. decide on whether I'm gonna get it on PC or PS5. I have friends who have it on both, and it's just really difficult to decide on which one I want to do. I think it's crossplay. I haven't seen specific confirmation that it is crossplay, but I've saw some articles mention that it is, but nothing from like the developer. I might be wrong, I'm not missing it right now, but I'll look it up later on. So certainly looking forward to Warhammer. I think that game's gonna be super fun. Now, a little callback to the Fable series. This is the last game we'll talk about for Gamescom, but I was surprised that Peter Molyneux came back for an announcement of Masters of Albion, which he swears is not part of the Fable series, despite the name kind of similarities. Albion, kind of, from the setting of Fable. So, despite that, that seems really fun. It's a god game, as he calls it, so you play as like um, a floating head, severed hand kind of uh, character, and you get to pick and choose how you build and craft this world, but you can also take over the denizens of the world and play as them, like knights and warriors and maybe monsters. And you can also change the effects of, the weather. It's like a Sims, but you're a god and you can play as the characters. That seems really fun. It definitely gives the vibe of like a game that's in alpha, like pre-alpha. Like this game should be in pre-alpha, but they seem pretty confident because early on in their conference that they were talking about it, they were describing the game. It didn't seem like they had a lot of confidence in it. Like it was still like an early game, especially when they showed off early gameplay of it. But then they get into like some of the menus and some of the effects, and the guy starts making jokes like how you can certainly kill people, and he's making jokes on how they're going to be like changing the game, and I think it's going to be really fun. So I don't know. That seems pretty awesome. I'm glad to see that like there's still legends out there, especially notable people like Peter Molyneux. People like know him, especially like recently. Like it seems like a lot of people come back from games and you don't remember them. Like what's it, the guy from Dead Space? Like he came back and he made Callisto Protocol, and it just kind of seemed like a mute point because Dead Space remake also came out. But it is pretty cool that Peter got to show off his new game at Gamescom. So shout out to you, Peter Molyneux, for coming back and making a new game because it looks fun. Certainly does. I do think it's time to talk about our sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. We also have no maltodextrin filters and use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams caffeine. You can get things from their website such as drinks, powders, apparel, portable bottles, stickers, and bags. If you go to the link and enter coupon code GamerLibrarian, you can get 10% off your order. That's GamerLibrarian for 10% off at Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink powder that is produced in FDA registered and inspected facilities in the United States. So that just about does it for Gamescom and what I initially want to talk about. I'm excited for all the games that were announced and shown off. There's just so many of them. So, there's a lot of gaming news that came out specifically today that I did want to talk about. Now, Gamescom is still happening. That will be something that's covered out throughout the course of next episode. But for the today's topics, there's some really cool stuff. I think it's kind of funny because one of the articles is from IGN. Pokemon trading card shop allegedly contains 1 million worth of meth. Now, that's crazy. That's a Schedule 2 drug in Hong Kong. Now, that's crazy to think that some Pokemon store is also peddling meth. It's just funny. There's a whole article on it. The link will be below, but I just want to talk about that. I think it's really hilarious. I laugh and talk about it. There's another article where apparently Sega's putting out emails to certain people asking them if they would like notable actors like Keanu Reeves and Mark Hamill and Dwayne The Rock Johnson to join video games like their Yakuza game and like a Dragon. I guess the two are different. Like right now, Yakuza and Like a Dragon, but they would like to see some notable actors join their games, and that seems fun. Yakuza and that is like a fun, goofy world, and that's always like, really great. And then having things like skins and like I think they have Call of Duty, Drain Launch Auction skins, all that's cool. But I was kind of hoping they would maybe just do like games about these characters, which would kind of be wild. But yeah, Sega seems to be fishing for trying to get big actors like Jack Black, Kit Harington into their games, which seems awesome. I think Yakuza and Like a Dragon definitely games that could pull that off in terms of like a fun, goofy celebrity status. Um, things like Cyberpunk having Keanu Reeves be a character is also cool, but it's definitely like Keanu Reeves is like the kind of already kind of like a fourth wall break in terms of kind of having him promote the game and weird stuff like that. It's always like something like that. I personally would rather like them get a notable voice actor or someone from within the industry play notable characters and all that kind of stuff rather than just like get big no name not no name but like big out of video game industry like stars into these spaces. Like even like cartoon voice acting and then like anime voice acting I think would be like almost the same thing. But it definitely seems like they're trying to use these faces to promote their games rather than just having really good actors from within the industry do the job for them, even for a lot cheaper, you know. I'm sure Mark Hamill and Keanu Reeves, Dwayne Johnson cost a lot of money just for their voices, and it's just like after things like the SAG after strikes with that's more like writers stuff, but I think it does involve voice actors with like the AI and all kinds of things. It's very important to be notable about the changes that big productions, big companies are trying to push for games because this is like them phasing out paying more workers. It really is. It's paying, having these people promote the game for them rather than having a game strong enough to promote themselves. That's what I saw like Cyberpunk as really. We're just gonna have Keanu Reeves talk about it and the game was, we paid Keanu Reeves before he even made the game good. It's that kind of mentality that really kind of grinds my gears when it comes to how these games are created versus like how they're like like perceived by the publishers themselves. It just makes me angry. It just makes me upset. Now, of course, I have been playing as much games as I can, and that just comes to the territory of having no time and a full-time job. But what I've done is I got to experience the Dave the Diver Godzilla DLC. It's Chapter 6 is I think when it starts. You get to go and get this cool submarine with a new character and go down and find Godzilla, and then after like a day or so, you get a chance to like do a boss fight right before uh, getting to play as Godzilla himself, which is awesome in its own way. It's definitely really cool. Now, keep in mind, this is a free update to the game. At the time, it was free. I don't know right now. It might be paid. Certainly, I couldn't say, but I got Dave the Diver just because I love fishing games, and I specifically downloaded the update because I'm a big Godzilla fan, and I wanted to see if you could turn Godzilla into sushi, and I confirmed it. Unfortunately, you cannot. You do not get a chance to turn Godzilla into a sushi dish or any kind of dish. Now, the game gets to allow you to make Godzilla and Kaiju inspired dishes themselves. You get three of them or so, which is really cool. So you can use those as, things that you can serve throughout the days playing Dave the Diver, which is awesome. Love that. However, for a free update, this is really awesome. I was prized, just by the boss fight itself that they had. There's still a lot to do in Dave the Diver, it seems like. Some of the side quests and all that kind of stuff seems to keep going. And I want to see the end of this game. I want to see where it goes. I haven't seen the credits yet, but it's, keeping me going. It's definitely a fun game to pick up every now and again. Now, the game that I really want to talk about is Black Myth Wukong. I'm super early in the game. I just beat Ling Zuxi. He's like I think the general or maybe the leader of the Yao Guai. I forget the title. It's one of the two that he is, but it's only like maybe the second boss or so. But that was really fun. I'm loving this game. Now I got to read Journey to the West earlier in the year for the podcast, and I think it's going to be the greatest experience to play this game and experience Journey to the West in a different medium. The story was awesome, very long, extremely long, and I don't remember a lot of it. A lot of it definitely kind of melded together, but the overall experience of reading Journey to the West was awesome, and this is a really fun take on it. I'm loving this game, and recently the article will be also linked into the description so you can all read it for yourselves. But IGN just said that the uh, Black Myth Wukong sells 10 million copies in its first 3 days, its first weekend of being out. That's awesome. Awesome for them. 10 million copies, and it's only on two systems, PC and PlayStation. That's awesome. For a brand new title, super, super cool. I'm excited to play it. That's what I'm going to do immediately once the podcast is edited, put out for you guys. And, we're just going to do our best for everything that we can with these games. So, what are you guys playing? Are you guys playing Black Myth Wukong? Are you not playing Dave the Diver, the Godzilla DLC? Why aren't you? So, what else are you playing? Now, I'm excited for Black Myth uh, further on because there's a lot of cool bosses that I think they might get some really cool inspiration from in Journey to the West itself. That's what I'm most looking forward to. But this game's great. There's a lot of really cool things you could do in terms of like the upgrade system, and it's a little like Dark Souls in a way, not as open, especially like the later Dark Souls games. But it's definitely a linear kind of action-oriented game, and I'm loving it. It's so fun. So hopefully next episode will be a much more Black Myth kind of inspired featured episode. We're still early on in our experience right now, but looking out for that game. Now, what I want to talk about for right now, the big contender, this is something that I've been super excited to talk about and share, is the uh, me catching up on the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga. This has been a crazy ride so far. It's so odd reading a manga like this. It's very like different in terms of what I'm used to. I'm used to things like Dragon Ball and My Hero, One Piece. And those have got their those traits and the little differences all to their own. But JoJo's is a different take, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm only on part five, so right now I'm only on part five, volume 54, and right now they're fighting Babyface, which is crazy. I think the gangster theme that they have going on for Golden Wind right now is really cool. Giorno and Bruno are really cool characters. I'm excited to see where those two lead to. I think it might be like them fighting for power towards the end. That might be something that comes up because it's all about gangster mafia stuff. So it's like those two trying to get up in the ranks of the mafia gang that they're a part of. And it seems really cool. I'm excited to see where those cool and interesting changes take in terms of JoJo's for the next part. So to get like backtrack, I think last episode I was in the middle of Stardust Crusaders, so we've jumped an entire like two parts in this week. But for Stardust Crusaders, Jean Pierre, the what's his name, Polnareff. I'm always bad with names, but he's my favorite character by far. He's the best one. I loved every part of him being like in fights and just on screen. He was so funny. Big fan of him. Iggy, oh my God, R.I.P. I'm so sad. That's the worst. And Death 13 and the baby was probably the best adversary in terms of that entire part. That's all I got to say. And then what was the last one? Diamond is Unbreakable. The story being set in a single town was a really great change of pace compared to the global adventures of the past parts, in my opinion. So I really liked it being centered on one area rather than like being a global like adventure kind of thing. And Truno Truciardi, the chef stand dude, was awesome. He's my favorite one of the entire part, definitely by far. But I was really enjoying Diamond is Unbreakable. It's probably my favorite part so far. I think it's really fun. There's a lot of cool wackiness to it that really changes up JoJo's. So it's been really fun getting to read that for right now. Truly looking forward to every part of the way in the future. So that practically takes us to the end of the episode. Been really fun talking about all the new game announcements and stuff. Looking forward to next week. We get to talk a little more in depth on games like Wukong and specifically talk more about the mangas we've been following, One Piece and Wild Strawberry specifically, because they have new chapters. I've been focusing on JoJo's right now, so that's been kind of the main front for what I'm reading. And also, we're going to be gearing up for our first guest appearance later on at the end of September. So I hope you're all excited to have our first guest. I won't be saying who it is, but I just want to really be hyping her up. That's about it. So I think it's going to be a really fun time. This has been episode 47 of the Gamer Librarian podcast. Be sure to subscribe for updates on future episode releases. Leave a like and comment on what games or books I should talk about in the future. Thank you and see you next time.